People see whimsical people and they're like, oh, what an easy little target for bullying because they're just a silly person. And actually, no, because if you have the confidence to be whimsical and a little bit silly and a lot of like playful and express yourself creatively in your life, that takes a very deep understanding of what you want out of life, what you think is beautiful, and who you are. Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Caitlin and I run the blog called Mrs. Midwest. Today we are doing a fun video on whimsical femininity. I did a video on elegant femininity last fall. I apologize for how long this has taken to get out. I think what happened is I was going through some sort of psychological shift this winter and I wasn't feeling extremely whimsical. And so why would I get online and talk about whimsical femininity if I wasn't feeling in touch with my whimsical femininity? Like, you guys know that. That's why I only really like to talk about things that I personally have experience with, or I feel like I have some level of mastery or curiosity or interest with. And your girl just wasn't feeling that whimsical because I was struggling with something we're gonna unpack in this video, and that is the topic of freedom and how femininity and freedom are super entwined. And we're gonna explore all of that. It's going to be fun, but I wanted to say thank you. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for your patience. I apologize for how long this has taken. Yes, we are going to do a fierce femininity, and then I think the fourth one is quiet femininity. I have to check my notes, but we're gonna finish this series. We're gonna finish this series, I promise. So, whimsical femininity, what is it? Okay, I did try to get extra whimsical today. We put the Dooney and Burks behind me. I got the bracelets. This is my favorite top right now. It's like a little bit whimsical, even though it is a collared button up. So what? Oh, and then this is the mug. This is the mug. Okay, could anything be more whimsical than this? Okay, so, okay. Now, what is whimsical mean? Or what does it mean, right? So, okay, elegant femininity was where I started because we're all in touch with what elegance is. I've talked about it a ton on my channel. That was like my bread and butter way back in the day. Then I talked about elegant femininity and it's like nobody even cared. Maybe we've all moved on from elegance and we're ready to talk about whimsy, which I think does make sense as the economy and the world and everything feels unstable and frustrating. I think sometimes a way to cope with that is plugging into whimsy. So today we're going to talk about what is whimsical femininity? How does it relate? What are the aesthetics and vibes? How can we achieve it? And then lastly, we're going to talk about the pitfalls because we did that with elegant femininity too. Oh, starting with what is whimsy? What am I talking about? Whimsy is kind of like a catch-all phrase for the idea of spontaneity, freedom, creativity. Essentially what happens when a person plugs into innocence, purity, light, freedom. There's something very playful about femininity. And whimsy is naturally in relationship with femininity because, as we've established since the beginning, femininity contains the concept of growth and nurturing. And what's really cool about femininity compared to masculinity, which is like very strategic and planned and boxed in and heavy, femininity has that concept of like a botanical vine or a flower petal or a little bit of chaos. You know, it's just vines and growing, and we're seeing how things are just blossoming and naturally. Kind of just the idea that there's not like a strategy behind this. It's just to have fun, tapping into playfulness. But specifically like playfulness in how you approach life, how you approach aesthetics, like decorating your space or yourself, how you approach like spending your time. So whimsy kind of, it's from the idea, you know, of doing something on a whim. I'm doing something on a whim. Whimsy, whimsical. There's not a lot of thought. There's not a lot of strategy. And does that mean we're silly? Does that mean we're dumb? Does that mean it's useless? Does that mean it's like Delulu living in the clouds? No, it can, but no. On its face, whimsy is a positive thing insofar that it helps you get in touch with freedom and playfulness. And why is playfulness important? as we've established, in a dark, heavy world, we are going to face, and I've said this many times, we're going to face so many things in life outside of our control. Bad things that happen. I have experienced this. Bad things that happen that are outside of our control, that are outside of our own making. And life can get really heavy. So it's nice to intentionally inject a bit of playfulness and a lot of freedom and a lot of fun to kind of offset the heaviness of life. What is cool about whimsy as well, in the way that it relates with femininity, is because femininity includes a level of vulnerability, right? This is a hard one for me. I think it's a hard one for a lot of modern women because it's like, I don't want to open up. I don't want to put myself out there because people are going to be mean. They're going to say weird stuff. I've been clowned on for being cringe for years. I actually think I used to be a little bit more whimsical when I started my channel because I was like, and then I got like beat down a little bit, and it's taken a few years, but your girl is back. If you don't know, I did start a second channel and we're very whimsical over there, right? But that was part of my psychological shift this winter where I was like, how can I be more whimsical? How can I be in touch with my freedom? And I realized I was craving creative freedom. So because with whimsy, it's a little bit about stepping back from what looks the best, what's the most practical, what's the most on trend thing. And it's just doing things that are silly or fun for the sake of doing them. Like a bow. Is a bow necessary? No. Is it always elegant? Not really, not all the time. Is it whimsical and fun? Yes. So doing things for the pure beauty and joy of doing them for the sake of doing them. And what is very special about this is, you know, in wartime, if you're fighting a war, we don't got time and space for whimsy. You know, when you're going through a war in your life, like divorce, breakups, death, financial issues, senior year of university, a heavy internship, starting a new job, that wartime, do we feel whimsical? No. So why is whimsy kind of fun and beautiful? Because it means you have the space, the freedom, and the safety to have a little bit of fun, be a little bit silly, right? Because on its head, on its face, there's no purpose outside of just having fun, bringing joy, bringing sweet. And when we're focused in that masculine wartime energy, there's not really safety there to be whimsical, right? And I think I've gone through seasons where I'm like, I don't feel whimsical at all, which is saying a lot because I think I'm actually a very naturally whimsical person. Like I'm a lot like, la la la, like that's why my house gets out of control. That's why you guys clown on me sometimes for not eating like the healthiest all the time. Like sometimes I just be doing things because they're fun. That, again, we're going to get into the flaws of that at the end of the video. So don't think I'm like living this perfect life. I'm not. Like whimsy, being too whimsical draws you into problems, okay? But what I'm saying here is what's so feminine about whimsy is the concept that it can only be performed and achieved in an environment of vulnerability and safety. And getting in touch with whimsy is getting in touch with the essence of femininity about creation and playfulness. And playfulness often gets a bad rap for being immature. Now, is there a time and a place to be playful? Yes. Like if someone is pouring their heart out to you about their divorce and we're just la la la, like trying to change the subject, trying to be whimsical, let's go watercolor instead. That's not good, right? No, we need to keep whimsy to where it needs to be kept. But let me tell you, when you use it appropriately in your life, it can bless a lot of people, right? It can bless a lot of people because again, it gives off that when you see somebody doing whimsical things and being whimsical and like, oh, a fairy, you naturally get this sense of safety because it's like, well, if she has time to float around in a little mini dress and do watercolor and she wants me to come along, there must not be anything else that pressing to do, right? And in that safety, then you can get in touch with the playfulness, right? And the playfulness, the inner child, and that's a blessing, not just to women, but also to men, to children, to the community at large, because it brings out humanity. To get in touch with your humanity is to get in touch with your vulnerability, where you have that playfulness. We were all a child at one point, right? We've all been entertained by a campfire story or a fairy tale. We've all seen a pretty flower and it's caught our eye, or a cute bunny, or some sort of like funky cat video. You know, there's more whimsy to life than I think people realize. And when you're applying it with femininity and you want to tap into it, it's about creating a space, maybe not every day, maybe not all the time, but it's about creating a space or a time in your life where you can be a little bit silly, a little bit playful, in whatever way that works for you. So for me, you know, I'm an aesthetics girl. Like, I am not the best at aesthetics, but I like aesthetics. I like decorating. I like getting all dolled up. I like buying clothes. I like buying purses. I like art. I like creating, you know? It's about adding little things to your daily life that are the only purpose is for joy. The only purpose is for beauty. The only purpose is to express yourself. And when you include other people in on this, I think a really great way to nurture and love on other people is by including whimsy in their life. Not in an annoying way. This can get annoying if you do it wrong. But whenever I get a latte and the girl brings the latte over and there's like latte art, I just lean in and I'm like, you did so good. This makes me so happy. You're so good at latte art, and it makes them really happy, but I genuinely feel that way. Like, thank you for adding whimsy to my life. It's probably store policy, but either way, I'm so grateful. Like, I love to see latte art, and that's a really small example, but smiling at people when you're out and about, that's okay. What's the purpose of smiling other than to spread joy? You can smile at the wrong person, but you know, your average elderly person, a baby, smile at a baby, that's spreading joy, that's spreading light. And there's something very feminine about that because it's nurturing the world. It's nurturing the people around you, everyone you come into touch with, you know? I like to be a bit whimsical too, where maybe not when there's a long line behind me, but I'm at Walmart pickup. The guy comes and he scans my phone and I'm like, oh, hello, thank you. And we could just leave it at that. But then I just chit chat a little. I'm like, it's such a pretty day out, right? And he like looks up surprised and he's like, it is. And we have a nice moment and it doesn't need to go farther than that, but just a little bit of whimsy, just a little bit of social community chatter. And that's nurturing and good for me and for the community because it's like taking the time to see people. And whimsy is really great for that because it's taking the time to see the core of other people by blessing them, but also seeing yourself and blessing yourself. You are worth adding a little bit of color, like buying a cute little pillowcase for your room. You are worth that little colorful nail polish or buying a bracelet. Like, it's okay to adorn yourself. It's okay to express yourself. And that is also where whimsy is really interlocked with confidence. And what I think is so fun about whimsy is people see whimsical people and they're like, oh, what an easy little target for bullying because they're just a silly person. And actually no, because if you have the confidence to be whimsical and a little bit silly and a lot of like playful and express yourself creatively in your life, that takes a very deep understanding of what you want out of life, what you think is beautiful, and who you are. And also your own sense of, this is worth it. It is worth it to pour into myself and to express myself creatively. It's worth it to show who I am to the world. And every time you do that, it reinforces confidence. And I really think the more in touch you get with your femininity, the more in touch you get with confidence. Because femininity includes nurturing yourself. It includes the safety, the idea of vulnerability in a safe way, but vulnerability, creative energy. You can't do any of that if you're not confident, if you're insecure, if you're struggling, you got that dark energy. It's going to be so hard to get in touch with whimsy. I'm happy though because whimsy is trending, and we remember last year or the year before I made that video like don't be afraid to be cringe. The Gen Z, because you grew up with the phones and the Snapchat and everyone's recording you, everyone's afraid to be cringe. And as somebody who's been cringe online many times, it's not that scary. And it's very freeing because yes, you might be cringe sometimes, but you can also just be kind of fun and entertaining and amusing and enjoy yourself at the very least. Being set free from being cringe allows you to step into whimsy because whimsy is not always going to be cool. Being whimsical is the opposite of being nonchalant. It's the opposite of cool girl, because you're putting yourself out there. You don't have a steely wall of sunglasses and a chic outfit protecting you from the world. And as we talked in Elegant Femininity, I love the sunglasses and the chic outfit, and there's a time. But when you want to get in touch with your whimsy, it's going to take, like, you know, it's going to be a little bit obvious when you're being a bit whimsical, and that's the vulnerability. It's freedom of expression, freedom of creativity, and the freedom is, again, very feminine, because it's the freedom to just develop and grow however you're going to go. Whereas the masculine energy is about the goal setting, the strategy, the focus, and both are valuable. This is also what happens when you get really feminine, because femininity is about nurturing, and when you nurture something, it's not always going to grow into the thing that you thought it would be. I love those videos where it's like someone buys a betta fish and they're really struggling. I hate how grocery stores sell those, but they buy them and then they give them a wonderful environment, and it's like a safe, nice place, and the fish just transforms. The fish transforms, sometimes even in 48 hours. And that really reminds me of nurturing and the power of the feminine nurturing, where it's like, you're safe here. And telling yourself that you're safe here. You can try something new. I want to see what you have to do. I want to see what you're going to do. I want to see your drawing. I want to see your art. I want to see your new outfit. I want to see your new decorating. And the idea too of being seen. And no, we're not always going to be seen by who we want to be seen in our lives. Bad husbands, bad parents, bad friends. But we can start with ourselves. And for me, my faith too, like I feel very seen by the Lord. But I also see myself, and I want to have a little bit more fun with my colors in my house. So I do it. And it's not this protective barrier of like, if you're so whimsical, fun, and free, everyone's going to love it because it's so happy. No, I still get like, lots of people don't like my stuff. It's okay. That's not why we're doing it, because we're doing it for the sake of doing it. Because when you do it, it brings the joy. Whimsy brings the joy. And the act too of investing in creativity and investing in whimsy is investing in joy. Again, you're not always going to feel like it's time to be whimsical, right? I went through many years where it was not that time to be whimsical. In fact, I had a few years where I thought I was an introvert. And I'm not. Like, I'm an extrovert. I love people. I love expressing myself. But sometimes you can go through things in life that honestly make you like lose your color, like that betta fish in the grocery store. And if you're in a season like that, it's okay. Just know I've been there. I have been there too. And 10 years later, I'm like kind of whimsical and just la la la. Something too that we need to talk about with vulnerability is desire. Desire, I think, is one of the things nowadays that people have the hardest time understanding and getting in touch with, and I did too. People can't even tell their partner, their situationship anymore, hey, I want to be exclusive. They have a hard time bringing up marriage. They have a hard time expressing their desires. And this can happen for a lot of different reasons. If your desires never mattered when you were growing up, or you never learned how to ask for what you want, or you never learned how to express yourself, how are you going to be vulnerable and share your desires as an adult? That's not safe. Or maybe you surround yourself with people who it's actually not safe to share your desires. But part of being whimsical, it's not about like saying your desires. It's about living out your desires. That's what being playful is. It's like, oh, I have time today and I want to go thrifting for 30 minutes. Okay, go spontaneous queen, go. Like, that's a bit whimsical. And it's about getting in touch with your instincts, your spontaneity, and your desires. There is something to be said for allowing yourself to be in touch with your desires, to be in touch with the vulnerability it takes to say, I want a cup of tea. I want to pick up a hobby again. I want to wear pink. And giving yourself the freedom too, the freedom to pamper yourself a little, the freedom to try a new hobby, the freedom to be bad at something. That's another thing about whimsy that I really love, especially when you look up like whimsical art, for example, which we can talk about aesthetics next. But whimsical art is a little bit childlike. It's very colorful. It's not like highbrow. It's not very like looks like it took hours and hours and hours, but that's what makes it whimsical. The spontaneity, the purity of the childlike playfulness, the colors, the beauty in the innocence a little bit. It's about getting in touch with that softer side of yourself. We have the elegant, guarded side of ourselves. We're going to talk about fierce femininity eventually, which I'm excited for. Whimsical femininity is about lowering the fierceness, lowering the guard, and allowing yourself to get in touch with that inner child a little bit. And again, with the confidence, that comes with the vulnerable act of detaching from others as enough to express yourself, right? So if you want to be creative and everyone is holding you back, you have to detach in order to achieve that whimsical joy, because sometimes people can hold you back from expressing yourself. And again, that's where the confidence comes in. And that's why I really think whimsy is powerful, because you can always kind of tell when somebody's doing it. You can always tell when someone is very in touch with their whimsical, playful side, because it's obvious. It's obvious when they're bringing that beauty, when they're bringing that joy, when they're not prioritizing the things that every single other person is prioritizing. And that kind of makes you stand out. And I think that's what's kind of scary about whimsy, but it's a really good test in nurturing your own confidence and creating a safe place within your own heart, within your own soul, your own body, for your confidence. The participation of others is not necessary for you to enjoy and experience whimsy. It is something you can do on your own. And as a person who had many years on my own, I had many years in my own company, no friends, no family, to speak of pretty much only my husband and you guys. I'm a big fan of things that I can do on my own to better myself, to enjoy life more. And maybe that's why I got really involved with, whimsical things like taking walks, getting in touch with nature, petting my dog for a long time, simple hobbies at home. Part of whimsy too is because of the childlike innocence, playfulness, all of that. Expressing it is simple. There's a simplicity to whimsy where the concepts behind it are not complicated. The motivations are not complicated. It's just for fun. It's just for joy. And the execution should not be that complicated either. So example for what I'm talking about is like a whimsical activity, like a watercolor with your friends or by yourself, or going for a walk in a meadow, or a little hike, or getting a coffee. A whimsical activity is not go visiting a yacht at Cannes and wearing an incredible dress and getting your photos taken, and that's glam mode, right? That's like a lot of steps. Or conquering at the tennis match tournament. That's not whimsical either. Are both those things kind of cool and awesome, and would people want to do? Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's not whimsical, right? You can add whimsy. You can wear a whimsical dress to the photo shoot, or at the tennis match, you can be really nice to everybody and have a fun time. And that's a little bit whimsical. But the whimsy of the whimsical activities that you can practically do have to be simple. They have to get in touch with your creativity. So it's something that you're doing and producing. So that's why it's I keep bringing up watercolor because that's what I'm doing a lot, but writing for yourself, creating something, baking, and again, not for a bake stand or something intense, just baking for the love of it, baking for a neighbor. Creating is really entwined with whimsy, because whimsy is something that either you seek out and you see in the world, or it's something you create. So some things are naturally whimsical. I am looking up there at my weeping Yoshida tree. It's very whimsical. Flowering little petals, right? But there's also whimsical things that you can do. When you go visit the yacht or dominate at the tennis match, that's a different avenue of femininity, and they're both valid. And again, that's what I've been stressing a lot with my feminine personalities and character videos, and this series too. I want to step away from the idea of a specific feminine archetype or personality that we're all trying to achieve. Because first of all, I don't want to set myself up, because I talk so much about femininity, I don't want to set myself up as if I just act like her, I'll be feminine. No, there is so many ways to express yourself within femininity in a way that is honoring your true personality, your true interests, your true desires. And so that's why one of these things, say you're more dominant in one, like elegant femininity or whimsical, it's not better than the others. It's all femininity, because it's women, and it's the idea of the the female, the feminine essence, that includes nurturing, creativity, and nurture. Just the word nurture alone, that blankets so much, right? Like, I like to talk about nurturing your community or yourself through beauty and glam, but you can also nurture by tending to a garden, something I would probably never do. You can also nurture by working on your career and blessing your family. There are so many different ways to accomplish femininity in your life, but the major results, whether you're a whimsical girl at the end or an elegant girl at the end, or whether you're super fierce, you're always going to end up confident, in touch with your desires, in touch with yourself and your community, and in control of your environment and however you want it to look. Okay, so that's about the nurturing, right? That's the vague idea of what it is to be feminine. That's why this can be achieved by any woman. That's why it doesn't matter what your personality is. You don't have to be bubbly like extrovert, social butterfly. You don't have to be super quiet like Aurora from Sleeping Beauty. You don't have to be really good with animals. You don't have to be super creative. You can be different. And that's another thing. You guys know this. I stress that on my channel. I got this comment like a few times from this girl who was a pharmacist in Chicago. And I just thought that was like so chic. And like, that's like, we're both in the Midwest, but our lives are so different. But we're both interested in femininity. And that speaks to the power of all of this stuff is available to you, and it's up to you to decide how you want to express this stuff. Now, I will say, I think it's worthwhile to do an exercise in elegant femininity, in whimsical femininity, in fierce and quiet when we get to those. Because when you are in touch with these different ways to express yourself, you're more in touch with yourself as a whole. And different seasons of life call for different avenues. So the elegant femininity is going to be so useful when you roll up to that charity gala and you need to socialize. I've been in that situation. It's helpful to know how to be elegant when you're in that situation. It's also helpful to get in touch with your whimsical side. And I know that more than ever now that I am a mom of children 4 and 5 years old. We are rocking a whimsical household around here. Whimsy, whimsy, whimsy. Because doing things right now just to play, just to bring joy, just to have fun is kind of our purpose. We're slowly transitioning by joining T-ball and by, counting to 300 with the kids. And like, we're starting to get a bit more serious, and I can feel the whimsy, the priority of whimsy like slipping away. But as a mother, I think it's important to be able to show how to create joy just for the sake of having joy. And it's a really it's such a privilege. It's such a privilege to be able to be in a position where it's like, hey, let's bake cookies. And it's good for their development and it brings whimsy and joy. But there's like a freedom there that I think not a lot of people allow themselves to access because it's like silly or it's immature. It's childlike. And funnily enough, they get clowned on it. But I think millennials are actually very in touch with their whimsy insofar as they liked the Disney Marvel, the Harry Potter, being silly, wearing the Disney outfits and the silly Jim Carrey voices. Like, millennials get clowned on, but I think they have, like, they're kind of in touch with that innocent, playful, fun stuff. And a lot of younger Zillennial, Gen Z girls struggle with being seen and the vulnerability that comes with expressing yourself creatively. Again, another thing I want to quickly say is it is worth it to do this stuff because little joys add up. One of my go-to strategies when I was in the darkest place of my life, and I always say like wanting to drive your car into oncoming traffic, I made a box, and I've talked about this a really long time on my channel, like way, way, way back before I had kids. I made a box, or it was like an ornament box or something, and I put in 50 slips of paper. And maybe 70% of them had whimsical stuff written on them, like bake cookies, draw a picture, read a book, watch some cat videos, take a walk, that kind of stuff. And then a few of them were like clean your room, like practical, shave your legs, like whatever, organize your closet. And I put them all in a box. And I would force myself to do 3 of them a day. And slowly, as the whimsical stuff in that box did not change my life circumstances, but I had things to look forward to every day. Even if another bad thing happened, at least I knew there would be one happy thing that would happen, because I would pull it out of the box and, oh, looks like we're making cookies. That's great. And it's a go-to strategy that I still lean on when life gets hard. After having Bodhi and getting pregnant with Troy, that was a really hard year of my life. And I also have never talked about this, but I had severe family troubles going on that year too. And then and I had such poor health. I was bleeding all the time. I was learning how to be a new mom, and I was preparing for my second, and the family troubles honestly were some of the hardest on both sides of the family. It was horrible. And what I had to do is get my box out and do my whimsy exercises. And that's why I don't clown on whimsy, and that's why I take it so seriously, because in the darkest times of my life, it has helped me, okay? And yes, this goes in relationship with prayer and scripture. You know, for my Christian girls, for my girls who love Jesus, when I don't always talk about that, it's not because it didn't happen, it's just not the focus. But yes, I really do think the whimsical activities, it's like from God. I really think it's from God to look out and see like a pink blossoming tree like that. Feels like a gift from God. At my lowest of the low, at least on a non-overcast day, I would sit and I'd look up at the sky and I'd be like, that's a really pretty cloud. And I would think the clouds in heaven are going to be really nice. And it would make me happy. And I would be able to get through the day. And I think that's why I urge you all to get in touch with, for you, what helps you feel whimsical, because it can help you in some of your darkest times of life. And that's also just, I think, a larger commentary on why femininity is so powerful and important, because people clown on it. Like, oh, you're being girly. You're just being silly girl. No, because it has the power to bring joy and inner peace. And when you have that inside and confidence, and when you have that brewing in you, you can get through anything. You can get through anything. You can get through anything with that within you. And that's why femininity, I get emails and comments constantly where it's like, I started following these femininity videos and tips and it changed my life. And is it because I'm this incredible teacher? No, it's just because we're analyzing and discussing ideas and ways to get in touch with the femininity, because it has the power to give you the confidence and the creativity and the light and the joy you might desperately need at your darkest hour, okay? So that's my little spiel on, this isn't silly. Let's talk though about the aesthetics. We're gonna switch gears. Fun fact about me, I know how to drive a stick shift car. I used to drive, this is whimsical. I used to only want to drive whimsical cars if I could, if it was like in the budget and I had a choice. So I drove a PC Cruiser and I drove a Mini Cooper. I wanted just a funky car. And even with this car, I almost asked my husband if we could get another PT Cruiser, because they're funky. I just like a funky, whimsical car. I can drive stick shift. So that being said, we are switching gears now. We're talking about aesthetics. And yeah, that's a great idea. Like, why is a Mini Cooper more whimsical than like a Chevy an Escalade or a Wagoneer, you know? Because it's light. It's funky looking, it's a different shape, it's just a bit quirky, and it's small. So it lends to the idea of playful, childlike, fun, different. That can be applied to everything with whimsy. So colorful, different, funky, playful, a little bit impractical, innocent, simple. So that with clothes is going to look colorful. It's going to look patterns. It's going to look like mixing patterns, mixing textures, mixing shapes. It's going to look like unorthodox shapes, but nothing ever in a severe, harsh kind of palette or texture or silhouette. So we are staying away from severely masculine, harsh silhouettes and lines, but we're going to get in touch with that free movement, that free creativity, and the idea too of layering. So you're gonna add jewelry, you're gonna add charms, you're gonna add, but that's right, like when you do jewelry, it's not just like Cartier stack or Van Cleef. You're gonna add funky beads, you're going to add color, you're gonna add charms and like little objects. It gives the energy of the playfulness. We have the artsy, the retro, colorful, really dark, even like, yeah, whimsical, if you've heard of that. Sprawling, reaching kind of motifs, trinkets and charms, beads, patches, embroidery, patterns, polka dots, plaid, gingham, stripes, lots of jewelry, patchwork, to the idea of mending. That's also an aesthetic within whimsy, because the idea of kind of that sentimentality too, where it's like, I'm attached to these jeans, I'm gonna mend them before I get rid of them. That steps away again from that artificiality where it's like, toss them, I'll just get a new pair. When you mend something and you put your own touch on it, that's whimsical. And that's another thing where, yes, okay, we're doing things for the fun of it, but the cool thing too about whimsy is it being in touch with your desires brings you closer to your sentimentality. And that's when it's like, you're suddenly sending your friends little cute cards in the mail. That's whimsical. You're stopping to give them blueberry muffins. That's whimsical. I'm just listing things I do. But it's like, those are the cool things that being a bit more sentimental can get you. And also something I do like about whimsy, it's about pausing and recognizing the beauty in small things. So yeah, behold the lovely betta fish. Behold the cute little mouse in a cottage art. The idea of folklore and bringing things small and pretty and nature, heavily inspired with nature. We're stepping away from the synthetic and towards nature. Now, does this mean you have to wear your natural hair color, your like natural face? No, you can have fun with makeup. Color. It's just about avoiding like that really sultry, almost seductive, sexual kind of energy, because being playful, being in touch with your inner child, being like colorful and innocent and all of the things that whimsy are, does kind of like cause you to step back a little bit from that seductive feline energy, which is very good and wonderful, and we will talk about it in the next part of this series. But your clothes are going to step away from the club wear, right? And we're going to step into the playfulness. At the heart of whimsy is detail. It is noticing details. So it's like the concept of stopping and smelling the roses. Detail. Taking time to tell a story in folklore. Detail. Just taking time for the little details in life. So you're going to have embroidery. You're going to have patterns. You're going to have little patches on your jeans or your bag. And I want to add more detail, but buttons and color and like little tassels and beads and like those details make it more whimsical, because can you wear the jeans without the little patches and beads and embroidery? Yes. So why are they there? Because it's fun. And anytime that's the answer, anytime the answer is because it's fun, you know you're in whimsical territory. Now, applying this to the house, I would be more whimsical in my house, believe it or not, if I could. But I do try to restrain because other people live here. Whimsy in the house, color, texture, pattern. Do you have to be Y2K? Do you have to be 2000s? No, you can be, I mean, I think we're all like in touch with our girlhood. I think the reason whimsy aesthetics often look Y2K is because a lot of the people consuming the content, that is us getting in touch with our inner child. Like, what was whimsy and fun and cute when we were children? But it can also be 80s, it can be 70s, it can be historical outfits, it can be Victorian, you know, the Makara Tours. I'm obsessed. I've seen all her videos like 4 times. She's like a costumer in a Victorian house. She doesn't always dress Y2K. She dresses old school a lot. She, like, her decor and her fiance, they're very whimsical people, but in like a steampunk 1800s way. So you don't have to do Y2K exclusively. That's just like 90s Y2K. Like, that's how I like to do it, because I like traditional contemporary. That's my favorite design choice. But yes, adding to in the natural into the interior. So the exterior into the interior. So plants. You guys are gonna love that. All the plant girls are gonna love that. Flowers, even just flower motifs. I got these earrings, showed them on the second channel, but it's like a orchid earring. That's whimsical. Adding the, like a fish, you know, like a fish necklace or a fish motif on your shirt, or something like a bird, you know, adding like I have a fake bird in my house. I don't have a real bird. I want a real bird someday, but there are a lot of responsibility and I take those things seriously. But I have a fake bird. That's kind of whimsical. Having the color, having the movement, the visual eye having movement, adding things for the sake of adding them because they're fun, not restraining yourself, which, ooh, I should have talked about this sooner, but with the idea of freedom is the idea that the restraints are gone. What would you decorate like if there were no restraints? What would you dress like if there were no restraints? That's why whimsical aesthetics are not always corporate friendly, because in the corporation, we got restraints. But if you're creative, if you're into art, if you're a stay-at-home mom like me, dress without restraint. And again, that's what's cool about whimsy, because you're stepping away from the seduction, because you're into your inner child. When we say dress without restraint, you're not going to end up looking like an OnlyFans model or a hooker. You're gonna look like fun and whimsical and childlike. So dressing without restraints, not in the sense to become super seductive or sexual, dressing without restraints in order to express yourself. But can you do it more like showing more skin? Yes. If that is your style, absolutely. It's about tapping into the freedom. We're not in wartime. We're not in corporations. And if you are, you can still add whimsy. A gold necklace with like a turtle, right? I have one. Or like a little ring with a star, a little stud earring, small little details. And that's the fun thing. Everybody can do it. Maybe not as much as other people, but you can do even a little bit. I think what I also want to add to here, what's wonderful about whimsy is it's for anybody, okay? I think sometimes with elegance, it can feel a little bit gatekeepy, with like you have to like look like a Kate Middleton, Meghan Markle, like thin, like Princess Diana, and you can feel like, well, how do I fit into elegance? Like that's not my body type or my hair type. We're all gonna have our strengths here, okay? But you can play it up by letting your natural self roam free, your natural hair texture, your natural color, maybe even add some artificial colors. Like it's all, again, there's no restraints, there's no bounds. It's just about expression and fun. Now, let's talk about the hang-ups. How can whimsy go wrong? I think we all know it's obvious. If you are just doing things for fun, if you're just doing things for the sake of having fun or being free or spontaneous, you can lose the plot sometimes. And I've struggled with this. You can lose the plot by stepping too far into chaos and away from organization. And that's why our type A sisters are useful. They're the ones who talked me into going to my recent doctor's appointment. They're the ones who helped me be practical. And when you're too whimsical and you're not in touch with the realities of the world, you can make the world and your life harder for you and the people around you, like your parents, or your husband, or whoever's helping you through life, right? So it's important to remember to remain balanced, and there is a time and a place for everything. Again, your friend's sitting there pouring her heart out about her divorce. Is it time to be whimsical? No. But after you provide emotional care for that friend, will they benefit from your whimsy by maybe liking your suggestion to go thrifting and getting cute latte art and a bracelet? Yeah, they might. And so that's why this is powerful, within reason and at the right moment, okay? So the chaos, you can also lose control of your home. You guys have seen this. You guys have seen this with me. You guys have seen how I can be so artsy, so into YouTube, so into like my fun things that I don't do the practical stuff of, yes, the laundry or the cleaning the bathroom floor, stuff like that. So we need to remain in touch with the practicalities of life and make sure we're rising to the occasion for the people who rely and depend on us. Example being a mother too. You can't be so whimsical, running off all the time, like dropping your responsibilities when your kids need you. They need 3 square meals a day. They need you to be there at pickup when you're supposed to be there at pickup. They need you to remember to sign them up for a fun activity and then bring them, and not just let everything pass you by because you're being so, So where you excel, like me, with let's do art. Let's just cuddle. We don't need to do that right now. Let's just be together. Look at the nature. Great. But it's also, hey, wash your kids' clothes. Make sure you're washing their hair. Make sure you're taking care of their skin. Make sure you're signing them up for social stuff and meeting their needs, okay? It's hard to meet the needs of people and yourself when you're not in touch, right? And something about whimsy is it's very self-focused at times, because it's about, what are my desires? What are my creativities? What do I like? And that's good. But you also need to step back from that and be like, what are the needs of like the people I'm responsible for? What are the needs of my community? What are the needs of my man? What are the needs of my home? You know, focusing on those external things so that you can be whimsical without guilt. The idea too that you're so whimsical that you can't grow up. You're so whimsical that you can't be organized. You're so whimsical that you're not reliable. That is a problem, because you're going to have times in life, if you so choose, if you choose to be a mother or a wife or somebody like in that role, you need to rise to the occasion, even if you're a whimsical queen. And that means following through on your responsibilities, following through on what you said you're going to do. And remembering too that you can do all of that while still being yourself, while still being whimsical. And just know too, people who are naturally very organized, people who are naturally very on top of their like responsibilities and things, maybe they have a hard time being whimsical, right? Like everyone has a struggle. So don't be hard on yourself if you do really struggle with certain areas within this femininity series. I do too. I think I struggle with like every single one in various degrees. But with this one in particular, the chaos is a problem, because also when you have a lot of creative energy, it can take all of your interest, and so much so that it's not even purposeful, but you don't notice or see the things you have to get done, because all you can think that you have to get done is that next chapter or that next video. Like that's all you care about. And it's important to step back and see yourself and your world through the eyes of other people. If you have a hard time identifying what your responsibilities are, that's how I do it. You just pause and you're like, what does my husband need? What do my kids need? And then I'm like, boom, I'm like, oh, it's time to match socks. Like, it's just about not being too self-centered. And I do think that's a problem with whimsical femininity or whimsy in general. It can be a bit self-centered. Like sometimes it's not time to like show up in your cool fairy garden outfit, like at somebody else's wedding. Maybe not, unless they explicitly okayed it or they know that's you and you've always dressed that way and it's really going to be subtle. Remember to not be too self-centered with freedom of expression too. And it's like, yeah, at your corporate job, it might not be time. So it's just everything within reason. Be mature and balanced, and don't get so creative and fun that you become chaotic. Okay, so I hope that kind of sums up whimsical femininity. I would love to hear your thoughts below. How do you get in touch with whimsy? Because again, in my mind, I'm like, I love writing, I love watercolor, I love baking, I love videos, but I'm sure there's like ways that are a total blind spot for me that I'm not thinking of. If you're interested in this series, we have the entire femininity series from the beginning of my channel, and then we have the recent ones about feminine personality and elegant femininity. The next one is fierce femininity. We are going to be discussing like the seduction, the dark black cat energy. Does that have its place in femininity? And if it does, how can we get in touch with it? This one might be a little bit hard for me because it might be a little bit the opposite, but I do have it in me, so we'll see. I'm going to write the script for that and hopefully get it out soon. Also, thank you so much again for the amazing feedback and support and love on my second channel. That has been... I feel a weight has been lifted off. Honestly, I think I was able to film this video because now I have a place to express myself with all this other stuff I'm interested in. I have more energy for the Mrs. Midwest topics and channel. So thank you for watching. Thank you for watching my second channel. If you want to find that, it is linked. I have some playlists. It's called Xoxo Kate, Xoxo Midwest is the handle. And we're just over there pumping out 3-ish videos a week. 2 minimum, 3 maximum, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And they're just vlogs really of my life, what I'm up to lately, anything I feel like. But all that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Get in touch with your whimsy. Let me know in the comments below how you like to do that, and I'll see you in the next video.